No. It's somehow worse than I thought it was going to be. Aquaman 2 and the Lost Kingdom tells the story of Arthur Curry several years after the events of the first movie, where he is now a dad, a husband, and the king of Atlantis. However, doom follows him as Black Manta wants revenge on Aquaman, though his methods threaten the very world around us. If I had to describe Aquaman 2 in one word, it is safe. This film didn't even try anything remotely original, yet still ended up worse than most mediocre superhero movies released years prior. Very poor performances in both the acting and the action sequences. One of the most predictable and generic plots that I have ever seen, and being such a boring experience despite a CGI clusterfuck on screen. Makes me happy because both DC and the fanboys deserve absolutely nothing better. Things I liked about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Themes on family. Okay, time to get the very minor positives out of the way. I like the way that Aquaman is portrayed as being a family man. Those small, wholesome moments where the movie portrays his father and his son as the most important things to him is something you very rarely see in movies nowadays, especially male characters. Well, unless your name is Dominic Toretto. Even the way that Aquaman talks to his estranged brother is a little tough to watch at times, because of course we know from the first movie that these guys aren't on good terms. Yet, their dialogue never feels forced. It's like they want to get along, but can't forget the conflict of the prequel, and so have to have that deep resent. Also, Arthur is a loving husband, but to completely the wrong wife. I like the family themes in this film, both as a character point and as a lesson for the audience. After all, the people who would pay to watch this movie, other than DC fanboys with no standards, are young men who want to watch this film in the cinema with their family. So of course, that's the positive message for them to see. You know what isn't though? Things I didn't like about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Product placement. Specifically, alcohol product placement. Oh my god, we get it. Aquaman likes a Guinness. And Warner Bros. Probably got paid ass tons of money to talk about that in the movie. I get it. This film was never going to make its money back through ticket sales alone. But having a Guinness advert in this film is kind of like watching a steak advert during the ad break when I'm watching Horrid Henry. The cliches. This film does borderline everything that any superhero has done before. I'm not going to play the clips of these cliches because I'm terrified of copyright. I don't want to expose the totally legal site in which I totally bought this film on. And I can't be bothered to rewind the clock to where these clips happened. So, what I'll do is I'll reenact these scenes and you tell me if you can spot the cliches. My signals are picking up an earthquake. Well, damn. Where is it coming from? We're right on top of the center. Ah!
Stay vigilant. You have no idea what type of security measures they have down there.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
Ching 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 ching. I love you so much, Terry. I hope nothing ever tarnishes our relationship. So, do you know how to ride one of these?
Aquaman!
Yes, get corrupted by the evil. No, I am your brother. Even though we fell out in the first movie, guess which side you were gonna pick. Those were all of them that I could be bothered to write down. I'm sure that there are more that we will talk about. The writing is generic, and I'm sick to death of hearing it. Right now, the story in Aquaman suffers from everything wrong in superhero movies. Generic dialogue, check. Fake tension? Check. Stakes that are so high it makes it impossible for the bad guy to win? Check. Let's talk about Black Manta for a second, because this film insists that he's some deep character with justified motives. Black Manta is a character that took payment from Atlantis in order to attack other cities in the underwater ground, which I can't be bothered to name, hence giving Atlantis reason to attack the surface. Doing this essentially betrays humanity. His method of doing this was first to hijack a submarine. In the process of hijacking a submarine, his dad was killed because a torpedo fell on him and he drowned before he could be saved. Black Manta deserves that to happen. He is a prick. In this movie, he has the exact same dramatic intro as in the first movie, where he opens the door dramatically and takes off his mask, giving a scary facial expression. Bro, this film retcons the first movie so much. Black Manta has the exact same intro. Aquaman has the exact same intro. Even some of the scenery is exactly the same as the first movie. Speaking of which, the world building is pathetic. This film portrays the Lost Kingdom as this huge plot convenience. Oh, Black Manta accidentally found it somewhere in the Antarctic, and coincidentally, there's ancient technology that works so much better than the advancements in our world today. And this super ancient machinery has super special fuel hidden all over the world, which Black Manta manages to get with relative ease. Makes me think that these secret vaults are not that secret. And the other stuff about the Lost Kingdom is just explained through an exposition flashback, because shush, this is a film. Yes, I know that this film is placed all over the world. But fast travel exists in video games. Why are you complaining? And comic relief characters, oh my goodness gracious me. This comic relief character made every sin imaginable. They're unfunny, they're completely harmless, they're on the villain side, which means of course a change of heart is inevitable. As for the actual story, it's Schoolboy. It starts peaceful. First confrontation, villain wins. Aquaman unites with an old enemy to support a common goal. Good guys are skeptical of old enemies because of course they are. Second confrontation, villain gets away. Flashback exposition that contains the solution to the problems. Final confrontation, day is saved, old enemy is now a new friend. If you haven't seen this movie and you can't fill in the blanks based on my description, honestly, just go watch my Demon Slayer review and my Quantum Mediocrity review. And that is just an easy way to learn about how to predict these mediocre movies. The special effects and action are of poor quality. The main reason people squeeze out any excuse to watch this type of filler movie is for the pleasant looking CGI and the fast paced action. But in the 2020s decade, both of these things are absent. Firstly, the action in this movie is not convincing in the slightest. It honestly feels like they went to one martial arts class and they were like, yeah, I want to do a fight scene in a movie. I was most surprised to be unimpressed with Amber Heard, as she actually has combat experience assaulting Johnny Depp. The only positives I have for the fights was the Trident choreography. Because as someone who has done Embu training, I like to believe I know what goes on into one of these scenes. So it does put a smile on my face to see some clean Trident twirling. The one thing that ruins so much of the action for me though, is the overuse of Deus Ex Machina save at the last second. Oh my goodness, I think I counted 6 throughout the entire movie. Amber Heard got 2 of them. Jason Momoa got a few, and then would spew out the corniest line in the least heroic way possible. Imagine that. Imagine a known abuser saving your ass at the last second, and you're just meant to clap and go along with it. Now hold that thought. Imagine same domestically violent felon being saved at the last second by some hench dude, and all you hear is,
"Get away from my wife!"
well, it's just as pathetic as I've described here. Now for this next point, I have to ask James Wan directly here, because I do like a lot of his work. I love The Conjuring 1 and 2, and Insidious was amazing. So I have to ask you, James, what the hell did you do with $200 million? Because sure as shit, it did not go all to the CGI. What the hell was that? I felt like my eyes were impregnated after watching Aquaman 2. Why do the special effects look like a sock in the corner of the bedroom? Even some of the camera shots make it so hard to see what was happening, even through the CGI clusterfuck. No more perfect example than the first confrontation, where Black Manta steals the magic fuel through all the explosions and entities on the screen. I couldn't tell you a thing about it, like I was watching some Michael Bay movie. And bruv, they reused the scenery! They reused some of the scenery and tried to pass it off as a new place in the movie! This film, oh, okay. Right, just relax. Because I've said this once, and I'll say it again here. The USP of these superhero movies is for nice special effects so that Monkey Brain goes, ha ha ha, that was an amazing movie. But if you take away that from one of these movies, you have nothing else. So I have no idea why they insist on taking shortcuts for the visual effects. To conclude, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom tells the story of Arthur Curry, several years after the events of the first movie, where he has to fend off Black Manta, who wants his revenge. I'll end this video off to the dumbass DC fanboys, and to movie critic Shields, who really need to hear this. The reason why DC don't care about being original, and why this movie flopped, is 100% your fault. You are the ones who sucked off the first movie like it was some second coming of Christ, just because it was the best DCEU movie at the time. No fucking shit. What needed to happen there was it needed to surpass Wonder Woman. That is not a high bar to reach. It was you guys who kept coping over bombs like Justice League, BVS, and whatever the hell Suicide Squad was supposed to be. Yeah, alright mate, Zack Snyder adding another hour and a half of waffle was for sure going to make these films win Oscars. Keep telling yourself that. And finally, I have a special something to those little test tube babies who keep waffling about,
oh, well, it's like that in the comics, so it must be good.
Listen here, and no, I am not biased. I said the exact same thing about one of my favourite animes of all time. The characters in this movie sucked. If they were like that in the comics, then the comics also sucked. I got no sympathy for Warner Bros. Either. Oh no, you had to reshoot the movie a bunch of times to splice out Amber Heard. Here's a better solution. Fire her to begin with. Keep that same energy. You did it with Johnny Depp and the Fantastic Beasts trilogy. And stop pretending that you hold your actors to a high standard. You have Ezra Miller still in The Flash, despite the fact that he's been accused of heinous stuff and found guilty of some. Fuck Aquaman 2. Neither this franchise nor the fans deserve anything better than this final product. Good riddance, DCEU. Final rating, 0 minutes out of 124 minutes. Like, subscribe. Have a very happy new year.